Welcome, Motenta people. It is hard to say what Ryan ONeill was popular for his role in the tearjerker Love Story in 1970, or for his reputation that remained in the news about his bad parenting. Maybe the whole world will remember him as the most pathetic parent ever. If so, how painful is this title for a parent? But he got it anyway. This handsome blue-eyed man has a tragic story of his real life. Yes, we're talking about the great Ryan ONeill. How Ryan ONeill wanted to hook up with his own daughter? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Motenta's channel. The Paper Moon leading actor Ryan ONeill doesn't need any introduction, as his name says it all. His bossy attitude not only helps him win the boxing championships, but also makes his name stand out in the world of movies. His hard-to-get characters in films like Barry Lyndon, The Driver, and Oliver's Story made him one of the most demanding actors of his time. But that's not all. The success you admire did not come about overnight. This success cost Ryan a series of tragedies, a bad reputation, and some titles that if he even tries to remove these tags, he just can't even. But do you know how Ryan turned his bad boy image into a worse one? His badass behavior played a dark shadow role in his success story. It was enough to end his sky-touching career. But it was not his fault, as he was not very fond of being an actor from childhood. Instead of an actor, he was a boxer in the initial stage of his life, as his father prepared a boxing ring for him only at 7. So, he was a great fighter since his childhood. As he entered his teenage years, he was sent to the University High School of Los Angeles. The goal of sending him there was to get the Golden Gloves in the boxing field. The blue-eyed charmer maintained his love for boxing, even with or without the ring, until adulthood. He was so furious and keen on his career that it proved little for him. But his mother recognized the situation. She did make the right decision at the time. She understood that her son had more potential and had the power to earn a name. So she, at least, got a job for him as a stuntman on an American TV show. How was it possible not to earn a name on the TV screen when acting was also in his blood from his mother? That clean-cut blonde hair with attractive blue eyes was perfect for a fiery placement. But no one can imagine the wild Neil behind this mesmerizing look. Many people witnessed his grudge on various occasions. Anyhow, he was an insultingly handsome hero who played whatever role played in a damn way. No one can beat him on screen. Even Paul Mazursky called him a monstrous star of his time. According to him, in Peyton Place, that fashionable soap opera played as he was only made for, no one can play this role as he did. He was the monster king of Hollywood who came to win and break the hearts of many. The bad boy had never got a long break from the screen. Even the movie Love Story was offered to Michael Douglas and Jon Voight. But what good luck he had. They both rejected it, and the role was played by ONeill. From this movie, he earned an Oscar nomination and placed his name in Hollywood's A1 Heroes list. But it was not enough for Neil, as he played a series of bashing roles in movies like Bones, The Best of Hollywood, Empire, The Larry Sanders Show, and the list goes on. Well, one thing was similar in all of these movies. Guess what? No, not the storyline, but obviously Ryan's role, as he became famous for playing badass-look roles, a man full of revenge in heart and eyes with fire. But this man with a heart of stone lost control of his heart when he met a beautiful, gorgeous actress, Joanna Moore. Both fell in love, and they soon married in 1963. It was the peak time in ONeill's career, but for Moore, 1960 was the year she hit the peak of her career. They both have 2 children, Tatum and Griffin. But being parents, they couldn't fulfill their duties. They failed as parents. Both Neil and Moore became alcoholics. They failed to control their drink. As a result, both kids were neglected. They were taken care of by the servants, who neglected the kids and kept their heads up on the money that usually happens. Ryan was far from his children, not by distance, but by heart. He announced that he could be everything, but not a father. He never tried to play a fatherly role in real life, but fate gave him a chance to play that role. Although it was an American comedy drama film, the father and his daughter, Tatum, played an on-screen father-daughter role. It was when they were offered the Paper Moon series, and they agreed to it. The film was a hit and granted them a great victory. At age 10, Tatum won an Oscar award, and ONeill was also nominated for a competitive Academy Award role. She is still known as the youngest child star with an Oscar. Anyhow, her co-star, her father, didn't bother to attend the ceremony for his daughter's great victory, as he was filming his next movie role in England. But on the other hand, his son Griffin once described him as a narcissist, psychopath, violent, and enabler. He said, "My whole childhood was like a nightmare." He was an abusive, egotistical man. He added that my father loved to play pool with me, and more of playing, he loved to win. Whenever he lost a game, he beat me up badly. Even once he punched me so badly that I lost one of my teeth. Well, after being in a toxic family environment, soon the marriage became a constant burden on Ryan and Moore. At last, after only 4 years of their marriage, in February 1967, they officially got divorced. Otherwise, the couple separated in 1966. One thing that really shocked us was that after the divorce, his ex-wife faced loneliness and began more drugs. She became a patient of depression and started psychological treatment. Meanwhile, Neil got himself another wife. He happily remarried co-star Lee Taylor-Young in Hawaii. Neil gleefully started a new life with her. It didn't end here, but he also had another boy with Lee. Meanwhile, Neil, with his second wife, was busy with a TV show called Peyton Place. Lee was his co-star. This show was first released in September 1964. It continued until 1969. The first 2 years of the show were in black and white, but it hit its peak the first time it appeared in color. It had 268 episodes and became the most popular TV show of that time. It was a show with a half-hour episode based on a novel. It is said, on the set they got married in a fairy tale way. Yes, their marriage was really like a story in the movies. One of the managers from ABC offered to get them married in his home, and they agreed to it. And that's it. Of course, they dated each other for 1 year. After getting together, they decided to marry in 1967. Although it was a total love marriage, Neil proved to himself again that he was not cut out for marriages and responsibilities. Again, he let Lee down everywhere. Both spent very little time in leisure, and then issues began between them. Anyhow, the couple had a son. They named him Patrick. Their marriage lasted for only 4 years, and the couple parted ways. Once the press asked Lee about the very short period of marriage and what she thought about her ex-husband, to which she replied, "I could speak to parts of Ryan like his temper and volatility and reactivity, but I deeply know his inner goodness." This statement shows the irresponsibleness of Ryan. He was never a man of gold. He was always as he was then. He was neither a great father nor a good husband, and he proved it again and again in his life. This is not what people said about him, but what he showed about himself to people. His actions spoke for themselves. He didn't only have a penchant for anger and grudge, but also a penchant for revenge. He never forgot and never forgave. And then once again, he showed his ruthless and humorous action. Once, columnist Rona Barrett wrote something about Neil. He didn't like it at all. He was a famous celebrity of his time. If he wanted, he could let that go. But he didn't, as usual. He avenged himself in a way that no one ever thought of. He first made a simple statement in which he just gave a clue that being an actor is not easy. He said it's very common to have good or bad publicity if you are an actor. But anyhow, it was not common for Ryan ONeill to forget something about himself. One day Barrett received a parcel. This parcel didn't have a return address on it. Barrett opened the package curiously. As she opened it, she screamed, and that package made her blood run cold with fear. It had a live tarantula in it. After this atrocious act, despite the Americans starting to hate him, they fell in love with ONeill. This was all about business and marriages, but one surprising story is yet to come. It was when he was in Toronto to see his daughter Tatum. His friend Lee Majors called him and asked him for a favor. He called Neil and asked him to spend time with his wife, Farrah Fawcett. He added, "She's alone in town, as I'm not here." Neil was famous for his reputation in the matter of women. He was a ladies' man who loved to flirt with beautiful young women. Anyway, the poor Majors asked him to take her for dinner, and definitely he could not resist this offer, as it was the golden chance for Ryan. In just a few days, both Neil and Farrah were seen as the best couple in town. When Majors returned from Canada, he officially introduced Farrah to Neil. Both pals met after 2 decades, but later on, Majors realized his mistake. It was when he angrily asked Neil to stay away from his wife. But what does it matter then? It was already too late. After some time, Majors and Farrah got divorced. Although they didn't get married, their connection was strong. They both worked together and lived together. The couple also had a son named Redmond. Whether they didn't marry, their relationship is something like a fairy tale. That ladies' man remained devoted to her for over 3 decades until she died in 2009. The gorgeous but troubled pair remained in love with each other in their ways. Both separated ways sometimes, but their love didn't leave them. Once Farrah caught him with another woman. They would never meet again. As Neil was diagnosed with leukemia, and they again appeared as a couple. But here, something else tragically happened. Fawcett was diagnosed with anal cancer in 2006. She couldn't survive it and died in 2009 before Neil. And when we are talking about Ryan ONeill, there was always the possibility of the worst to come. Once at the death ceremony of Farrah Fawcett, a beautiful girl with blonde hair hugged Neil. He saw the girl and hugged her tightly in a seductive tone, praising her beauty and watching her eyes. But he abruptly left her when the girl said, "Hello, Dad. It's me, Tatum." She hugged him to satisfy and console him, but eventually realized it was her father whom she hugged. This behavior made her saddest ever, as he had just lost his girlfriend. They hadn't seen each other in a long time. Almost 5 years had passed, and now they were facing each other this way. How embarrassing for daughter and father both. Tatum anyhow tried to accommodate her relationship with her father. All the siblings had grown old in weird circumstances. Patrick somehow managed to have a more peaceful life than others. A few years back, Tatum tried to give another chance to her bond with Ryan. She gathered her strength and put an end to her non-existent affiliation. The whole family reunited. This picture of the family became a symbol and revealed the peace and harmony in the family. At this old age, this reunion also indicates the fortune of Ryan ONeill. He really has a bit of luck that works for him anyway. He still lives, and at least has the children to accompany him. He had never had a friend with a strong bond. He never felt how precious it is to be a parent. He never knew the meaning of true love. In an interview, he said, "I think I was not destined to have children." He had fame. He had money, wealth, huge houses like a palace, and leisures. If something was missing, that was his children. But he is something. He got lucky from the beginning. He who never paid attention to family bonds got his kids with him at that age, when he needed them more than ever. Does his story motivate you to be a good person, or urge you to be the most caring parent? Do you think he ever deserved to be a father? Tell us in the comments section below. These Hollywood stars seem to get into a lot of interesting situations. Ronald Reagan fell in love with his illegitimate daughter? Watch this video.